Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd.
This astrology report is for the week of November 11th. And today we have Jupiter stationing retrograde. Tomorrow we have Mercury conjuncting Mars. Over the weekend, Sunday, Monday, we have the Sun in a trine to Jupiter and Saturn, and Jupiter and Saturn are in a trine with each other. So much to talk about this week. And we're kind of finalizing up the energies of Scorpio season. The Sun is moving through Scorpio, giving us the opportunity to dive in deep to our emotional state and to find these places that really give us the opportunity to do shadow work. Scorpio can bring up some of the skeletons in our closets. We also have Venus in Scorpio, and this is our heart. See, the Sun represents our ego, our identity, sort of the main filter in which we're seeing things. And then also Venus is a representation of our heart. So our identity and our heart are here in Scorpio doing this really deep emotional shadow work. Venus always, though, brings in the sensuality, the pleasure around it. And Scorpio is a very sexual sign, represents our reproductive organs, and is a very instinctual type of energy, traditionally ruled by Mars. And so there is a big sexual component, sensual component to Scorpio. So when Venus is here, it's a really nice time to indulge in that. And then also as we enter the week, we should be aware that the planet of our mind, Mercury, has just stationed retrograde and is moving backwards now through the beginning degrees of Sagittarius. When a planet goes retrograde, this just means that the work that the planet is doing slows down and it gets more internal. See, a retrograde is a time where the planet appears to be moving backwards through the ecliptic in the sky. And to the ancients, it was a representation to go back and take care of old business. So Mercury is the planet of our mind, I mentioned. It's our mental state. This is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So our mind really sparking a lot of activity right now. In Sagittarius, we get to be feeling more adventurous, and there is a wisdom to Sagittarius and an energy and enthusiasm. And so our mind is here, but it's also doing this work internally, and it's just slowing down to go back and take care of some old business. So maybe, our mental state, we're needing to find new ways to create these Sagittarius themes, like finding that energy and enthusiasm in our minds to do mental work, or, to take it on like an adventure, when it's like, there's just so many things to, sort of dabble in as far as my mental state right now. Well, Sagittarius says, take it on as an adventure, make it a fun journey. And, so this Mercury has just, stationed retrograde. We can expect things around us to actually in our physical world to slow down, to take more time. maybe our bodies actually need more time to find that energy, that enthusiasm, our minds also. As I mentioned, as we get into this week, Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, is stationing retrograde along with Mercury. And so here we go with more of this internal work. Jupiter is in Cancer right now. So Cancer is the place where Jupiter is going to do its whole retrograde over the next few months. It does take a planet, one of these further away planets, it takes them longer to do the retrograde, where Mercury, just going to be 3 weeks until that planet starts moving forward. Jupiter going to take 3 months to start moving forward again, or even 4 months. Actually, I think it's March 11th is when Jupiter comes out of this retrograde. So long time that we get to internalize Jupiterian themes in Cancer. And that would include Jupiter, the big energy, finding the opportunity to create visions. See, Jupiter has the grand visions in mind. They're also the ones that do the higher thinking and are really into like finding knowledge and wisdom, to live out in life and to guide us, that wisdom and that sort of higher knowledge, because Jupiter is indeed the god of the gods, so it's like the god all the other gods go to find guidance. And this is just an internalization. We bring this inside, and in Cancer, it's like really inside and private, because Cancer is the sign of the home and of the family. And so this Jupiter work we are doing at home, in our private life, and in our family unit with those that are closest to us. We'll be talking more about this Jupiter retrograde as it teams on. But another thing to keep in mind is that this Jupiter is in a trine with Saturn right now. Saturn's also in retrograde. And when Jupiter and Saturn do work together, it's like the old Saturn versus the new Jupiter. It's like constriction, Saturn, versus expansion, Jupiter. So we get a teeter-totter of these two energies, Saturn, Jupiter, finding boundaries and creating healthy structures, Saturn, and Jupiter, going out on a limb every once in a while and following the energy and following the enthusiasm of a situation and looking into that deeper wisdom. And so these two can definitely be conflictive. Saturn tends to be more focused on the past and traditional ideals, where Jupiter is like moving forward into things and looking into new and different perspectives. These two are going to be involved in a grand water trine this week also. Saturn is at 25 of Pisces, Jupiter 25 of Cancer, and the Sun is moving through this same point, 25 of Scorpio, this week. And but before we get there, there is also another big thing taking place early in the week, and that is November 12th. The Mercury retrograde there at the 1st degrees of Sag, it's actually at 6 degrees of Sagittarius, is going to be in a conjunction with Mars. We talked about this. There was a conjunction between Mercury and Mars just a few weeks ago, and this is going to be returning to these past situations, these past ideals. When Mercury retrogrades, it goes back to take care of work that needs to be done, make edits, review things, make sure that everything is in exact working order where it needs to be. When we have a planet like Mercury in retrograde, our mind is just really constantly trying to complete things we've been trying to do for a while. So there is going to be a feeling to this week, and also really for the next few weeks, about wanting to just make sure that we've gotten all of those things done from the past. There's going to be to-do lists that kind of come up out of nowhere and little projects that really, things that maybe you thought were done a few weeks ago, but are kind of coming back up, or you're just remembering that need to be taken care of to take action on. And this could be one of those action points when we do get this conjunction with Mercury and Mars. We want to take action. Our mind is in line. It's aligned with our body here. The mind in Mercury, the body in Mars, and they're aligned. They're in line. So we are moving in the same direction here. Sagittarius is the sign of the archer and of shooting arrows. So we could really hit our target on November 12th with this conjunction. The same day, we have the moon moving into Virgo. See, it's been in Leo up until now. A little bit of fire, a little bit of drama, a lot of fun and kind of a playful vibe. We get a more grounded energy with Virgo, ruled by this Mercury retrograde. So again, bringing us to these things in the past that we need to go back to and take care of. We're going to get a little bit more grounded with creating a plan and getting things cleaned up, and maybe even like detoxing and getting rid of things. See, we have the South Node in Virgo. So anytime we get Virgo work right now, it includes booting things out. The South Node wants to walk away from things. It wants to finish things and end things in our life. So we could feel like there's maybe some of that type of work that needs to be done on Wednesday evening. Moving into the 13th, we have the Virgo moon all day on the 13th, planning, cleaning, detoxing. This is a fateful day because the moon does conjunct the South Node. So whatever takes place on November 13th, very fated, very permanent. This is a cosmic course correction. And then all day Friday the 14th, we also have the Virgo moon. And then on the 15th of November, we get a change of energy, a shift of the mood. And that is when the moon moves into Libra. And Libra is an air sign. It's going to be a little more of a social energy. It becomes more about other people in our lives and sharing time with others and seeing different perspectives and allowing other people to share their points of view. And on Saturday, the 15th of November, the sun is in conjunct with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. So whenever we do Chiron work, which we will be doing here on Saturday, we see our wounds become highlighted. So an inconjunct is about making adjustments. So I see this sun inconjunct Chiron retrograde. Chiron is retrograde. Going back, taking care of old business. Maybe we have noticed that, one of our old wounds has come back up and we've needed to focus on it to get it taken care of. And this is what the Chiron retrograde is about for us. Chiron is in Aries right now, so it's very focused on healing wounds within ourself and focusing on ourself. Aries is about me. It's about the ego. It's about what I want and what I want now. So with Chiron here, it's like there has been some I want healing and I want it now. And this point that we reach on Saturday is about realizing and adjusting to something within this wound work that we're going back and doing and accepting it as part of who we are. It's just part of who we are now. And we get to move forward, knowing that we can adjust and we can work through any of these annoyances, that come with working through our wounds. It's deep, and just like when you get a scratch on your skin and that the skin is pulling together and it gets real itchy, it's like wounds kind of itch a little bit when they're healing, and you have to be careful that when things are healing, to allow that to happen and not get up in its little natural way of taking care of itself, up in its business, stay out of the business of that and just let it heal. As we move into Sunday, November 16th, we have this grand trine taking place. It's the exact grand trine within the water signs, and we are no strangers to this grand water trine right now, because Mars came through and did this exact configuration with Jupiter and Saturn just a couple of weeks ago. Mercury also did the same thing. It came through 25 degrees of Scorpio, created this grand water trine. Grand water trines are about our emotions, and it's about getting very, very in touch with our intuition and with the way that we allow the feminine to work within us. Water signs are part of the feminine signs here in astrology. The fire signs and the air signs are considered the masculine ones, and then the earth signs and the water signs are the more feminine ones. And that is strictly a programmed in thing there. Fire signs, air signs, they're just more active. They're more outward. They're more like the sun, just like shining bright on a daily basis. And that is considered to be a more masculine way of moving about to the ancients and the way that this astrology was formatted. And then the water signs and the earth signs, they're more grounded. They move a little more slowly. They're just a little more in tune with the earth and with the elements and with their emotions and with the internal way of life. And that is considered to be more of like a lunar activity. And the moon is considered to be the great feminine planetary entity, and so that hopefully that helps you understand the signs a little bit more. And in traditional rulership, you didn't have the really far out outward planets. You only had the ones that we could see without telescopes. And so there was a feminine and a masculine sign that was ruled by each planet. It's very interesting to me. I was just talking to a friend about Scorpio, and here we are in Scorpio season, and Scorpio has been the perfection of this grand trine. And so I've been digging into this Scorpio energy a lot, talking about it a lot. And Scorpio, as I actually mentioned during this show, was traditionally ruled by Mars. But Mars is like the great masculine planet, so how is this possible? It also rules Aries. And Aries is the traditional masculine sign ruled by Mars. It's the masculine warrior. And then Scorpio would be the feminine warrior. You got the feminine sign ruled by the same planet. That's the goddess warrior. So as we get these water trines, which they're not done, because we have Venus moving through Scorpio, going to be making this grand water trine perfected in just a week or two, within a couple of weeks. And also this Mercury retrograde is going to go straight back over this 25-degree point of Scorpio, perfecting this again. In fact, I think Mercury and Venus might kind of meet up around there about the same time. So we're not done with this. There's a lot of emotional work, and it's deep because it involves these water signs. It involves a deep, deep intuition, and it's basically involving a lot of retrograde planets. So it's a lot of internal work. And Jupiter, Saturn always want to be weighing out again that constriction versus expansion. So it's like just the time we feel like we want to kind of pull in, it's like we get get this feeling of pushing out, and then we want to pull in again and push out. Well, that's a very, very natural way. I mean, after all, that's how we breathe. That's how our heart beats. And so pulling in, pushing out all become these beautiful cycles of the universe that we follow and work with. And then on Monday, the 17th, Mercury retrograding sextiles Pluto. There's going to be another element to this retrograde that we go back, take care of old business. And this is in the sign of Sagittarius still before Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio, which we'll be talking about next week. And the moon moves into Scorpio on the 17th also. So that kind of sets us up as we move into next week. We'll be talking about the new moon in Scorpio, and that's going to happen early on in the week in the latter degrees. And in fact, I think it's 28 or 27 degrees of Scorpio. So it's the very latter degrees of the sign. We're going to be setting some new intentions around Scorpio work and this deep, deep emotional, intuitive investment that we have right now. Because it's like as above, so below is the tune of astrology. So as above, so below. As above, we have been inundated with this grand water trine for a while now and have a while to go. Water energy is intense, so it can just bring up waves of moods and waves of emotions and just, lots of, with this retrograde energy, undercurrents. Watch out for, I was a river guide back in the day, so I'm getting like these pictures of all these undercurrents, like you wear your life jacket out there right now, because if you fall in the water, there's a chance that you get swept up and under into one of these weird cycles. So, hey, if you need to go on your weird cycle, go for it. In fact, if you get pulled into that, if you get pulled in the water, do go with it. If you fight it, you lose the energy that you need when you finally surface to get out. So do go with it right now. It's very powerful. It's very faded. And this week, is no exception to being a faded week. So, but enjoy, because it's a beautiful time of year. Got the last beautiful colors out there. And I really appreciate you being tuned in here to the Cosmic Community Astrology with the Galactic Ambassador, Stacey Dredd. And I will be talking to you again very soon. Take care. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.